Let me read to you a passage from the 25th chapter of St. Matthew's Gospel, verses 1 to 13. It's the Gospel for Friday of the 21st week in Ordinary Time. St. Matthew writes, Jesus said, "At that time the kingdom of heaven will be like 10 virgins who took their lamps and went out to meet the bridegroom. 5 of them were foolish and 5 were wise. The foolish ones took their lamps, but did not take any oil with them. The wise, however, took oil in jars along with their lamps. The bridegroom was a long time in coming, and they all became drowsy and fell asleep. At midnight the cry rang out, 'The bridegroom is here, come out to meet him.' Then all the virgins woke up and trimmed their lamps. The foolish ones said to the wise, 'Give us some of your oil, our lamps are going out.' 'No,' they replied, 'there may not be enough for both us and you. Instead, go to those who sell oil and buy some for yourselves.' But while they were on their way to buy the oil, the bridegroom arrived. The virgins who were ready went in with him to the wedding banquet, and the door was shut. Later the others came. 'Sir, sir,' they said, 'open the door for us.' But he replied, 'I tell you the truth, I do not know you. Therefore keep watch, because you do not know the day or the hour.'" That's from Matthew chapter 25, verses 1 to 13. What does it suggest to us? Well, there is a common expression, being streetwise. It means being very aware of the things that could happen and being ready and equipped to deal with them. This applies not only to humans but to animals as well. The inexperienced cub will wander around investigating the area of its lair. It does not realize that it is exposed to all sorts of prey, and then is suddenly taken by an eagle or a hyena. As an animal grows, it becomes skilled in avoiding detection and in preying on other animals weaker than itself. It becomes streetwise. The child is always warned by his mother never to talk to strangers as he sets out each day to go to school. He forgets his mother's advice and talks to a friendly stranger. The city is placed on alert, and across the nation there is news that the child is missing. 3 weeks later, he is found dead in a forest. Another heeds the instruction and learns prudence in various areas of life. There are countless cases of accidents in life, and an important part of life's challenge is precisely the avoidance of accidents. We must learn to be streetwise in the best sense, which is to say, we must learn to be prudent. A person who has learnt prudence has acquired a great gain, for not only has he learnt to avoid many harmful occurrences, but he is able to make the best of his situation. He is an agent of events and not just a sufferer of them. He is equipped to do a work in life and is not just worked on by other persons or things. He has the prudence to do good, and his life is not merely borne along by the stream whithersoever it may lead. There is this further consideration that prudence is a moral matter. If we are imprudent, we may be morally culpable. There are things a person should know and should take account of, and if he does not, then it is not just an unfortunate accident, but is blameworthy. For this reason, people are punished not only for murder, but also for manslaughter. They should have known that what they did would most certainly lead to the death of someone. It is no excuse to say, "I did not know." You should have known. There is one great thing we must learn as quickly as possible in life, and that is that life is very vulnerable. By that, I not only mean that we must learn to avoid accidents, such as being hit by a car on the road or not being taken in by unscrupulous people. This is a matter of prudence, of course, but there is a deeper sense in which we must learn the vulnerability of life. The point is that no matter how prudent we are, no matter how streetwise, we can never be sure when life will be snatched from our grasp. There was nothing that the most prudent person could have done in the areas most affected by the great tsunami of the Indian Ocean in 2004. Vast numbers lost their lives, including the most prudent of people, through no fault of their own. Despite this, there is something every prudent person can do, no matter how unpredictable and vulnerable in life they may be. Every person can stand ready for the ultimate and unpredictable event of all, a sudden loss of life. It need not be caused by a tsunami. It can happen with a heart stop. A young man in the prime of his life suddenly collapses in his parish church and in moments is dead. He has died of a massive heart attack which no one, including his doctor, predicted. What we can do is always be ready were our lives to be taken from us without warning. Life is essentially vulnerable, and this is an obvious fact of life, but the average person thinks that this means the next person. It does not occur to him that it could easily mean him. As our Lord says, we know not the day nor the hour. Since we do not know, the prudent thing to do is to be always prepared. That is to say, the prudent thing to do is always to be ready for the judgment of God, always repentant, always trusting in God's mercy, always trying to do the will of God as expressed in the duty of the moment. We must not be like the foolish virgins in our Lord's parable, in the gospel we heard earlier, who were caught at the coming of the bridegroom without any oil in their lamps. They were locked outside. They were very imprudent. They were foolish. It will not do to say, I didn't know. You should have known. Every day we ought to start the day with the intention of so living that we would be ready were it to be our last. And who is to say it might not be our last? The probability may be that it will not be our last, but while in lots of cases converging probabilities yield certitude, there is no certitude about this. We do not know the day, nor do we know the hour. Everything we do, every little duty, ought to be done in such a way that were it to be our last, God would be pleased. The last day and the last hour is something the Christian knows to be immensely positive. It is the coming to him of Jesus his Redeemer. Let us so live that this coming will be the blessing that God intends it to be.